Picture this. You're at an amusement park, heart racing as you prepare to board the world's craziest roller coaster. Suddenly, the ride rockets upward, and you experience that thrilling rush of a near 20% lift. That's the kind of adrenaline SoFi investors possibly felt when, after Trump's announcement of a tariff pause, the share price soared by approximately 19.7%. When news of the tariff pause broke, it was as if someone had switched on the turbo booster. The market, always sensitive to geopolitical moves and policy changes, lit up with excitement. Investors who had been anxious about tariffs suddenly felt a surge of hope that the worst-case scenarios were easing off, at least for the near term. Imagine you're waiting in line for a roller coaster on a sweltering summer day. Suddenly, the park announces free cold lemonade for everyone, and the mood instantly shifts from meh to heck yes. That's what happened with SoFi. With the tariff news easing concerns over extra costs and uncertainties, the financial juice for the company suddenly tasted a lot sweeter, and investors jumped on the ride. The Fear and Greed Index, from 4 to 17, a tale of two moods. Now, let's talk numbers. The Fear and Greed Index. For those who haven't heard, this index is a market sentiment tool that gauges whether investors are in a state of panic or feeling bullish. Before the tariff pause was announced, the index hit a low of 3 to 4 out of 100, an unmistakable sign of extreme fear. Imagine you're watching a suspenseful movie trailer. The music drops, the lights go dim, and the narrator intones ominously. There's nowhere to hide. That was the vibe among investors, with the index signaling that fear was taking center stage. A reading of 4 suggests that almost every investor was ready to sell off their holdings, expecting further declines. But then came the twist. Once the tariff pause was confirmed, the index climbed to about 17. Now, 17 is still on the fear side of the spectrum, but it's a noticeable improvement. It's like walking into that same dark, suspenseful movie and finding out it's actually a comedy with a happy ending. Investors' jitters eased up a bit, and the market mood shifted, if only slightly, from total panic to cautious optimism. This dramatic swing in sentiment underscores one of the most important lessons in investing. Market moods can change quickly, and sometimes a single piece of news can flip the script. That's why it's crucial to have a plan that doesn't rely solely on chasing the latest headline. The importance of a buying schedule, DCA, and buying during the dip. If you're watching your portfolio like a hawk during these wild swings, you're probably experiencing a lot of anxiety. But here's where a steady strategy like dollar cost averaging, DCA, comes into play. Instead of trying to time the market perfectly, which is like trying to guess the exact moment a roller coaster will dive, DCA involves investing a fixed amount of money at regular intervals, buying more when prices dip and less when they're high. By the way, if you are benefiting from the content so far and want more like this, hit the subscribe button, turn on the notifications bell, and comment the word more. Just go ahead and type the word more so I know. Now that you've commented, let's continue. But also note this. Bad companies can blow up your portfolio. Consistency is good, but might not compensate you for bad companies. The difficult part is how to pick great companies. Become a member to get member-only videos about stock updates that could change your financial life. Find the link in the video description section below. Imagine you're at a pizza buffet where the prices drop dramatically right before closing time. Instead of trying to figure out the perfect moment to load up your plate, you decide to go in a little each day. That way, if the price drops further, you get more slices for your buck, and if it goes up, you don't overpay on a single, massive order. Over time, this strategy smooths out the highs and lows, giving you a better average price. For SoFi, after a short-term surge that saw prices spike and then decline from around $19 to about $9, a total drop of roughly 10.7% in just 3 days, investors who were disciplined about buying during the dip could stand to benefit greatly. It's like getting a clearance sale on the best roller coaster ride in the park. You're not paying full price, and you can ride the thrill again once the market recovers. So, if you believe in SoFi's long-term prospects, establish a buying schedule. Whether it's weekly, bi-weekly, or tied to specific price points, being systematic in your approach means you won't be swayed by the market's emotional roller coaster. Why companies like SoFi could have more gains in earnings. Now, let's shift gears a little. SoFi isn't your typical manufacturing or supply chain-based company. Instead, it's a fintech innovator, a company that thrives in the digital space without having to worry about factories, long shipping delays, or supply chain disruptions. Think about it this way. If traditional manufacturing companies are like old-school diners that depend on a steady stream of fresh ingredients delivered on time, fintech companies like Sofi are the trendy food trucks serving up gourmet experiences with minimal overhead. When supply chains are disrupted, those diners might struggle to keep their kitchens open, but the nimble food trucks can easily shift routes, update their menus, and keep serving hungry customers. Because Sofi isn't encumbered by those heavy traditional logistical challenges, it can adapt more quickly to shifts in the market and potentially see more rapid gains. That agility might translate not only to an improved earnings outlook, but also to a more dynamic share price movement, especially in an environment where investors are looking for growth in uncertain times. So, when you hear that companies like Sofi are poised for more gains, remember that it's not just about a good idea. It's about having the structural advantages that allow them to ride out turbulent times and capitalize on emerging opportunities. All right, time to get into one of the more thrilling aspects of market dynamics, the short squeeze. This concept might sound like financial jargon, but it can be explained with some everyday imagery. Imagine you've bet against your favorite pizza place, convinced that their cheesy slices will go out of style. In the stock market, when investors bet against a stock, they short it, expecting its price to fall. Now, if a lot of people are shorting a stock and suddenly positive news comes out, or in our case, calm market conditions and earnings hints, those who shorted the stock might suddenly have to scramble to cover their positions. They rush to buy shares, causing a rapid upward movement in the stock price. This is a short squeeze. To put it in everyday terms, it's like being in a crowded elevator. Everyone's trying to get out at the same time because suddenly the doors open. And in doing so, they inadvertently push the crowd even higher as they scramble to exit first. When a short squeeze happens, the buying frenzy can cause the stock price to spike dramatically. Could Sofi experience a short squeeze? Given the current calm market environment leading up to Q1 earnings, there's chatter that Sofi might be positioned for a short squeeze, with many investors possibly taking advantage of the volatility, and some perhaps betting on a decline. The stage is set for a scenario where a few positive surprises, like earnings that beat expectations or further positive news about tariffs, could force short sellers to cover their positions. Imagine if you're one of those short sellers and you see the price of your stock start to climb unexpectedly. Suddenly, you're in a race against time to buy back shares at higher prices to stop your losses. That scramble to cover amplifies the price increase. And before you know it, the stock is rocketing upward faster than you can say, "I should have held my shorts." For Sofi, if the broader market continues to stabilize and positive signals, like improved earnings estimates or more favorable regulatory news, emerge, short sellers could find themselves trapped in this squeeze, which over time could hit $150. It's a classic example of how a relatively calm environment can suddenly turn volatile if market participants have bet too heavily on a decline and then are forced to change course rapidly. Setting your strategy. The power of discipline and timing. Given all this craziness, tariff pauses, dramatic swings in investor sentiment, and the potential for a short squeeze, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. But here's where sticking to a disciplined strategy becomes your golden ticket to long-term success. One of the most important principles in investing is that you should never let market noise drive your decisions. That's why setting up a buying schedule or using dollar cost averaging, DCA, helps cut through the chaos. By committing to invest a fixed amount at regular intervals, you're essentially saying, "I'm in this for the long haul, rain or shine." Think of it like watering a garden. If you water your plants only when they look a little wilted, you might overcompensate on some days and not enough on others. But if you set a regular watering schedule, your garden gets the right amount of water consistently, and that's what ultimately leads to healthy, thriving growth. When you see Sofi's stock dip from $19 to $9 over a few days, a roughly 10.7% drop, you could either panic or see it as an opportunity to buy more shares at a bargain. It's similar to going on a shopping spree during a clearance sale. When prices drop dramatically, a savvy shopper knows it's time to pick up high-quality items at a fraction of the cost. That's the essence of buying the dip, to purchase an asset when it's undervalued relative to its long-term potential. By following a disciplined DCA strategy, You automatically buy more shares when the price is low, which over time can lower your average cost per share. And when the market recovers, that's when you reap the rewards. SoFi in the broader market context, navigating supply chains and earnings. Let's take a broader look at why companies like SoFi are especially attractive during periods of market turbulence. Unlike traditional industrial players that have to worry about factories, shipping delays, and global supply chains, fintech companies operate in a realm where the primary ingredients are innovation, technology, and customer engagement. The digital advantage. Consider the difference between a brick-and-mortar store and an online retailer. When a brick-and-mortar store faces a shipping delay, it's a full-blown crisis. But an online retailer can adapt, shift resources, and continue operations almost seamlessly. SoFi, much like the nimble online business, doesn't grapple with physical supply chain hiccups. This relative freedom from traditional logistical constraints means that the company can potentially focus more on enhancing its digital platforms, developing innovative financial products, and ultimately, driving growth in earnings. While the broader market experiences free falls and dip-induced panic, companies that aren't stuck with heavy operational burdens may actually shine. With SoFi, the potential for future gains is not only about riding the wave of investor sentiment, but also about the company's underlying ability to deliver solid earnings. If SoFi continues to innovate and attract users without the overhead of managing extensive physical inventories or factories, it's well-positioned to grow its profitability over time. In other words, when the market is in chaos, those who have clear, scalable business models often emerge as the winners. And if you believe in SoFi's approach to modern financial services, riding out these short-term market swings could lead to significant long-term rewards. It's our privilege that God loves us and gave His only begotten Son to die for our sins, and that whoever believes in Him should not perish but have everlasting life. John 3 verse 16. Want more information? Please check the description section. All right, my dear beloved of God. That's the end for now. If you have watched until the end, drop a comment like this: I stayed until the end. Just comment that I stayed until the end. When I see this comment, I will definitely give you a heart. 3 more favors I request from you. First, like this video, subscribe, and then turn on the notifications bell. If you do this, you greatly encourage me to continue bringing to you insightful and educative videos every week. Do not miss out on our future videos full of knowledge and insight. All I am asking is your subscription. Thanks for joining us today. Your support means so much to us. Join us and become a member for more stock news. Find the link in the video description section below. Do not hesitate to share this video to help someone who may benefit. I recommend that you watch the next video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts about today's video. Blessings to you. See you in the next video by God's providence.